the Rule of Law Office, the Office of Legal Affairs, and the Peace Building Support Office, which has already disbursed to the Gambia through the UNDP country office an initial amount of $3 million to kickstart support for the security sector reform and our transitional justice processes, including the establishment of a national project board under the leadership of the Ministry of Justice. In all our meetings, we emphasize the need for continued engagement with the government and people of the Gambia, and for rapid support in translating this democratic victory of the Gambian people into concrete economic advancement for ordinary Gambians. In terms of strengthening capacity and enhancing resources within the Ministry of Justice, I am pleased to report that with the assistance of our development partners, especially the UNDP and the Turkish government through its embassy in the Gambia, the ministry will soon be able to provide every state council at the ministry with a desktop computer. The ministry has meanwhile installed internet service in the whole of the ministry for all council. These two latest developments are absolutely essential in the provision of legal services in the 21st century. It will help to drastically reduce the time for the preparation of cases, provide counsel with greater and faster access to legal research tools, and maximize efficiency. Plans are also underway to introduce modern electronic case management systems and electronic record keeping and sharing platforms to facilitate communications and the efficient management and retrieval of information within the ministry. These developments will be complemented by training inside and outside the country in the use of these tools. This will ensure that the ministry provides services of the highest professional quality to the public and government and advance our quest for equality of arms between the public and private bar. Lastly, it is important to note that in order to stem the historically high attrition rate at the ministry, retain its current crop of staff, as well as attract other experienced counsel from the private bar, the conditions of service and remuneration for counsel at all levels must be improved. As a result, we had set up a task force to look into the conditions of service of counsel at the ministry. The task force has now submitted its report and recommendations to me for action. It is my hope that the conditions of service for counsel at the ministry will be improved soon. Allow me to add, however, that with improvements to the working environment and conditions of service of counsel at the ministry, there will also be a corresponding expectation that counsel will provide services of the highest professional standard to the public and to government. In this regard, we intend to introduce at an appropriate time an internal performance appraisal system to ensure that professional standards are kept at a consistently acceptable level and to also encourage discipline and accountability in public office. I thank you for your attention. I'll take a few quick questions, and then of the criminal case and detention review panel, through the chair, Ms. Olidanso, Senior State Counsel at the Ministry of Justice, for all the hard work and dedication shown throughout this challenging task. They have had to work extremely hard under very difficult circumstances, including on weekends, to ensure that the task is completed in a timely manner. On criminal justice and media law reform, calls for expressions of interest from local law firms or counsel for a comprehensive review of our criminal justice law and procedure to bring it in line with international best practices shall be announced soon after consultations with the Office of Chief Justice. Work on media law reform has already started in consultation with Article 19 and the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure. There will be a wider consultative process with stakeholders following these initial steps. We intend to approach the criminal justice and media law reforms in phases, bearing in mind the constitutional review process, so that any changes in our criminal justice and media laws shall take into account the provisions of any proposed new constitution. In terms of our international engagements, in our efforts to ensure that the international community, including the United Nations, continues to engage with and support the Gambia throughout this transition period, we attended the 4th annual session of the United Nations Peacebuilding Commission in New York upon their invitation. During the session, we thanked the international community, particularly the United Nations, the African Union, and ECOWAS for standing by the people of this country during the political impasse in December and January, and urged them to continue their engagement with the Gambia as we seek to consolidate the peace in our country. Many speakers, including senior officials of the United Nations and the permanent representative of the sister Republic of Senegal, hailed the Gambia as a shining model that the rest of the world could learn from about peaceful political transitions. They urge continued rapid financial and other support to the Gambia. On the margins of the Peacebuilding Commission session, we also held bilateral everything that I needed to say on this issue today, and I would like to leave it at that.
Were there further discovery of bank accounts or other assets that were not known before? Because I have been made to understand that the Gambian government is currently working with the World Bank Asset Recovery Committee and also some of its partners like the United States to locate some of the assets that are in US and also in Mauritania and other places. Were there any achievements to that effect?
Yes, indeed. I mentioned 49 on the list, but the information we have is more than 49 properties. However, as I said, we were able to establish for the time being the evidence of ownership by the former president. We continue to investigate to ensure that the information that we have received about the other properties are also accurate before we present an application in court. But the list also includes some bank accounts, other bank accounts that we have recently also discovered, and other companies as well. Other companies, including at this point the Daily Observer company. And our intention is not to shut the Observer down. Like the actions we have taken in respect of the other companies, the Observer, hopefully, if we get the freezing order, because at this point we only apply to the court. It will be up to the court to decide. But if we succeed in getting the freezing order, it will not be it is not our intention to close down the Observer. But we will find mechanisms, as we have done in respect of the other companies, to ensure that the Observer continues to operate, and perhaps what will change is the management of the paper. In bank accounts, there are about 3 or 4 companies additional, and as I said, 49 landed properties on our recent list.
Yes, I'm live in studio. It has been said that, your brother has said earlier that, you told him that if left to you, we don't have prosecutors NIA 9 case. That's one. 2 is about the prosecution team of NIA 9. They were one time the defense counsels for the former Dabo and others. And again, the prosecution team in this time. So how did that one come about?
Well, I'll start with the second question. As far as I am concerned, that there is no conflict of interest here. It's not a question of the prosecution team advocating for one set of arguments or representing one side and then turning around and representing the other. It is not. In fact, to the contrary, they have been consistent. Mr. Gay's team, throughout, they were the team that was responsible for applying for a writ of habeas corpus before the High Court for the production of the body of Solo Sandeng. They have been the same team that have been given to continue to pursue the death of Solo Sandeng, except that in this case, it's to pursue it in a criminal proceeding. So I see no conflict in that regard. As regards to the audio, again, I have said that, I have said what I think I should say on this matter already. My brother has issued a statement to clarify the position. I think that is that closes the matter for me, really. I do not have anything further to say on this. Yes, we expect of the Gambia that will usher in the Third Republic. That seems to be the general consensus, and we will proceed with plans for that. Yes.
Cases, so they are moving on, hearing some witnesses. I was wondering if you're still looking for the extradition or more the collaboration with the Swiss justice, and maybe they could come here to hear more witnesses.
We are collaborating with the Swiss authorities, certainly, and we are providing them with all the assistance we could provide. But let me state for the record again that the Ministry of Justice is not currently working on any plans to extradite Usman Sonko to this country. He is standing trial before Swiss courts. We are assisting the Swiss authorities in that process, and that is what we are doing right now, and that's where we are stopping right now.